What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. Week 3 of the Major 4 cycle is upon us. We have some key matches coming up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have plenty of teams jockeying for positioning at the Major, a couple that are on the bubble to make the winners bracket at the Major. So should make for an exciting weekend. Let's talk about some of the matches, make our predictions, and lock those in. All right, so we had a pretty good showing last week. I pretty much predicted every match except for the Vegas-London match, which London ended up beating Vegas, and I got the Optic Thieves one wrong because I picked Thieves. So let's dive into week 3 and see if I can continue the hot streak. All right, first off, we have Vegas versus Toronto, and it looks like most people have their pick'em on Toronto. Now, for Vegas, they're particularly weak at control, and I don't see them taking multiple respawns off of Toronto. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go 3-1 Toronto for this, and Toronto will maybe sneak in a winners with this, and Vegas is going to be an interesting spot with the match upcoming on Saturday. Next up, we have Optic versus LAG, and Optic look unstoppable right now, and I don't see LAG posing much of a threat to them. If there's any series that's going to be a DoorDash challenge on Friday, it's going to be that one. I think Optic takes care of LAG pretty cleanly. Maybe LAG win a map if Optic tries some map pool stuff, but if it's pretty much standard picks, I think Optic's going to win it. All right, moving on to Minnesota Rocker versus Atlanta FaZe, and I assume, yeah, most people's pick'ems are on FaZe. Oddly enough, Rocker actually historically have a good record against FaZe. If you look at this, which is kind of weird. I think it's not weird, but usually FaZe have a winning record against most of the other teams. This one's an interesting one. I just don't know what to think of this Rocker team, really. Obviously, there's 2 wins early on the stage, but if we scroll up and look at last week versus New York, I didn't think they were much of really a threat in that series. So they've had some time to work on that, either get better or maybe sort of keep going farther down the rabbit hole. Either way, I think FaZe is a little bit too strong for them. I'm going to spot Rocker one map, maybe a first hard point, but I think FaZe is starting to improve their respawn. Their control has been undefeated so far in the stage, getting better hard point, and Rocker not a good search team. I don't see them posing much of a threat to FaZe in that game mode, so 3-1 to FaZe there. All right, next up we have the Saturday matches, and we kick things off with a New York versus London match. A fun one, but fun in that I watched all the Call of Duty matches, and maybe I find the intrigue of London maybe upsetting this one interesting. They have kind of interesting overlapping map pools, so I'm going to go ahead and spot London a map here, maybe for that first hard point, or maybe we get like a Fortress S&D or something, but I think New York's too good of a respawn team. Very similar to the Atlanta FaZe Minnesota series. I just can't see London making up the difference. And so I think New York take that one 3-1. All right, we got Vegas versus Florida. And this one's an interesting one. Vegas obviously must win, and I think they are going to win. But I've been debating this one for a couple of days. And, you know, for me, as we take a look at the pick'ems, and I think people are very much on Vegas there, you know, I don't think Florida are as bad as some people sort of predict against them. You look at some of their results so far this season, and they really struggled against Toronto. I thought the Seattle series was decently close, but, you know, they weren't a mega factor. They got smoked by Minnesota at that event, and then they took FaZe to a game 5. So I don't think Florida's all that bad. And Vegas, again, I keep saying this, have a habit of playing down to teams. And I think it's going to happen again. I think FaZe is going to lose the control and probably another map, and they're going to have to grind out another game 5 series. I just can't count on Vegas to clean sweep or clean play the teams below them. And I think there's going to be another one of those again. All right, now we get to the more interesting matches, the last 2 matches on Saturday. We kick things off with Optic's last match of the stage versus the Boston Breach. This one's sort of an interesting one. Boston's going to have 2 matches this week. The second and third matches they will have with Cramp. And so we haven't seen much of them this stage with this new team. They've been quiet, obviously, because they only had 1 match last week. We know Optic's form. The thing for Optic here that kind of presents sort of an interesting issue for them is sort of map pool stuff. And, you know, if this lands on some interesting map choices at Big Wakes as a good series, I think this one could get really, really interesting for me. Where I think Optic's going to clutch up in a game 5 is just, I don't really trust Boston to close that series. I trust Optic to close that series. I think this one's going to be closer as it may seem. Boston's going to battle hard, but just come up short against a good Optic team. All right, and last series is Atlanta FaZe versus Seattle, and these teams always battle hard. You see, if we look at historical results, they've already had 2 game 5s this year. FaZe has also 3-0'd them a couple of times this year. So Seattle's 1 for 3, 1 out of 4, sorry, 1 win, 3 losses so far this season against FaZe. So I think FaZe is going to win, But I can see this being another game 5, another gritty game 5 with these two teams that goes a distance. They always battle hard, and I'm going to bank on that. And once again, FaZe puts up in a game 5. We'll see if it's as much of a classic as the last time they played, where Sim had that crazy hip fire, dead silence kill against Pred. But it's, you know, when these two teams battle, you always got to watch, and I think this one will be another fun one. All right, let's move on off to the Sunday matches. We got LAG versus Seattle. I assume most people's pick'ems are on Seattle. LAG has beaten them so far this season, but that was at the beginning of the season. And both matches did go to a game 5. I just can't trust LAG to really force anyone to a game 5. Right now, I know that, you know, against a weaker opponent in Seattle, maybe, but not against a team of Seattle that I think is likely going to take 2 respawns against an LAG, more improved in search. Maybe LAG like take a control of the first map or something, but I got Seattle 3-1 in that. All right, we keep it moving with the last 2 matches here. LA Thieves versus Minnesota Rocker, a double points opportunity, so I want to make sure we nail this. So fun fact about this matchup is these teams have played 3 times this season, and all 3 times LA Thieves have 3-0'd Rocker. So you got to think at some point that stops, and I can kind of understand why maybe the 3-0s sort of happen. Thieves sort of have a play style that really kind of hard counters the more methodical hard point and respawn that Rocker play. Rocker just aren't that good of an S&D team, and Thieves are much more improved in control. So I'm going to give Rocker 1 map. I'm going to say they break the 3-0 streak, but I think Thieves are going to take this one 3-1. I think Thieves are just in better form than Rocker, and I kind of expect Rocker to go 0-2 this week, unless they surprise me, to be straight honest with you guys. I think the way I'm thinking Rocker's at, I think that first week they had the magic of hosting an event, but I think since then they're going to kind of come back to reality. They're going to have a bunch of interesting decisions, I think, to make long term. Maybe not long term, short term, aka the next month and a half with this team. And then finally, we have a fun one to finish things off. The classic Boston versus New York rivalry. These orgs do not like each other. There is beef here. You'll love to see it. They have played once this season, and New York took them in a game 5. And I think pick'ems are correct that this is pretty split right now. The problem making this prediction right now is that we haven't seen much of Boston yet at this stage, so don't have a good feel on kind of where they're at. New York had 2 really good wins and then kind of had an S series against Optic, so it's really going to come down to like how these 2 teams play on Saturday. I think New York likely is going to be 3-1 with a dub. Boston's going to have to battle a little bit. I'm going to bank on Boston in the game 5, but I'm not really confident in this one. I'm going to be honest. I think this is as much of a coin flip as you're going to get during the stage. And I think either team on their best day can beat and also lose to each other. Both teams on their best day could 3-0 this other team, or they could get 3-0'd. I just have no way to really feel it out. And it's going to come down to really, I think, sort of how they adjust after their Saturday matches. So those are my predictions. We're going to go ahead and lock those in. I don't think I have a double point left. Yeah, I think I used all my double points. So we got 4. It looks like we got 4 points. I correctly predicted 1 week 2, and I got 4 on Friday. Or sorry, rather Sunday on week 1. So don't have any left to like bank on, say like this match would have been a good one. The Optic versus LG one. So either way, I feel good about the predictions. We'll see how things unfold. Should be a fun couple of match days. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next video.